Thank you, Scott, who's texted in. Jamie O'Hara, 38 years old, sitting in his kitchen doing nothing, trying to tell Ruben Amorim, 39 years old, manager of Manchester United, about tactics. I've seen it all now. Thank you very much indeed, Scott.
I'm going to give my pal a little call later, Ruben Amorim.
Yeah.
Done my badges with him. I'm going to tell him that Jamie's called him an idiot.
Yeah.
I'll get a response for us, Jeff, next week, mate.
Well, I think that's what you call expert opinion, Gabby.
Yes. Poor Ruben.
Anyway, obviously Gabby with me for the rest of the morning. Tomorrow, alongside me, former Watford skipper Troy Deeney. Troy was working for talkSPORT at the weekend. He was watching Southampton lose 3-1 to Bournemouth. It was his comments at half-time that grabbed the headlines. He said, we've just seen Clivert, a Bournemouth player, go and give his shirt to a Southampton fan at half-time. Everyone cheered. It's one of the weirdest things in football I've ever seen in my life. I think it's what you would call a head's gone. Well, Troy, you know, Southampton fans are not going to want their own players' shirts, are they? So I didn't find that quite unusual, especially when the name on the back of the shirt is Clivert.
Yeah, and I think football's changed now, isn't it? You know, like, kids are going to be like, oh, Clivert, he's a great player for Bournemouth, I want his shirt. I know what Troy's saying, because he's from the old school as well. That'll never happen when we were playing, but it's all changed now, Jeff, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's all changed. Players do the same, swapping at half-time when they're going in. Could be 3-0 down. Yeah. Swap shirts, mate. Okay, no problem.
Don't forget, Troy Deeney alongside me from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Coisty's taking the week off to top up his tan and continue to avoid Queen's Park fans, of course. Moving on, there's a new show starting tonight on More 4. Well, I can't say that. More 4. Which stars Hugh Dennis and David Baddiel. It is called Two Men on a Bike. I'm delighted to say that joining us now to tell us about it is Hugh himself. Morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Hugh.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks, mate. I've got to ask you, Two Men on a Bike, what's it about?
It's about two men on a bike, clearly. It's just, so I've known Dave since, I suppose he was about 18. I think I was in my early 20s. And we've travelled quite a lot together. And this time we are on a bike, or bikes, not one bike. That would be mad. But we've each got a bike, and we cycle from the Atlantic coast of France across to the Mediterranean. And it's just a travelogue, really. It's just two grey-haired men cycling across France.
Well, you say cycling. How did this work out? You're cycling, but David's on an e-bike.
He is, because he's never really cycled. So the furthest, I'm sort of relatively serious cyclist. So I've kind of done, there's a thing called the Attack, which is a kind of open stage of the Tour de France, which I've done a couple of times, sort of in the Pyrenees and stuff. So I cycle quite a lot. But the furthest David has ever cycled is to Wembley Stadium, I think, to watch an England game. And he cycled from Hampstead or somewhere. So the furthest he'd ever cycled prior to this was 5 miles. And then I think he got the train back because it was all a bit too much for him. But it worked quite well, actually. It's quite, e-bikes are sort of astonishing thing. But I enjoy the pedalling. I think that's the whole point of cycling, is the pedalling. But, you know, it's fun.
In 2012, on a show, you explored the British countryside. What was the French countryside like? Better or similar?
Well, do you know, it's very similar. But actually, for most of this, our route for this was along a massive canal called the Canal du Midi, which sort of links the two seas, so the Atlantic and the Mediterranean. So that was another reason we did it, is because it was, for David, it was completely flat. There was no hill anywhere. And mostly you could just see canal. But, you know, France is a beautiful, beautiful country, and that bit of it is particularly good. And we started in Bordeaux, which was kind of interesting. I think it's because it's where Andy Carroll now plays.
Brilliant.
Is he at Bordeaux?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
I mean, look, it is a lovely country, but I've just got to ask the question. You're an Arsenal fan. David's a Chelsea fan. Did you spend the whole time arguing about the two football clubs?
No. We've known each other for so long that it's a kind of... There's no point, is there, anyway, because Chelsea is so far behind now.
Brilliant, yeah, brilliant. Look, I know we're on to talk about Two Men on a Bike. I have to ask you, you were in, I think, was it 3 episodes of Fleabag? Probably my favourite series. Yeah. Probably my favourite series of all time. What was that like?
It was kind of amazing, actually. You know, it's one of those things where, you know what filming is like. You're sort of in a thing. You appear to be in a thing, and it took it took months, supposedly. I did like 3 days on Fleabag, but it had the most sort of amazing effect because it's just brilliantly written. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge is sort of a genius, really.
Yeah. Fantastic.
And it was just, it's great to do. And and its sort of effect has rippled out, hasn't it?
We could talk about so much. We could talk about Outnumbered, but we better stick to what we're meant to be talking about.
Look, it's funny, you're talking about what you want. Really.
Brilliant. Well, I
mentioned the thing.
I love Outnumbered as well, so there you go. Sounds like I'm just being a fanboy here, doesn't it? Arsenal, then, one of the passions in your life, Hugh.
Yeah.
If they bought a striker, would they have won the league?
Well, we still haven't not won the league.
You sure? You sure?
Yeah. I know it's a big gap now, isn't it? Well, back to 7 points yesterday. Yeah. But I still sort of, I don't know, I kind of think that Liverpool might slip up. But I do agree with you that. But you'd have to sort of change the style of play almost completely, actually, at Arsenal. We're so sort of used to not having a striker, but actually just getting one, in January, it might be quite difficult to kind of incorporate into the kind of style of play that we've got. So I don't know whether it's a mistake or not, and I leave all that stuff to Jamie O'Hara. He will he'll tell us whether that was a mistake or not by Mikel Arteta.
He needs to win something sooner, doesn't he? Like Arteta, won FA Cup in 5 years, spent so much money. They need to win a big trophy soon. Yeah,
they do. They do need to win. But, the time to kind of improve your squad and stuff is this summer, isn't it? And I sort of rather admire his unwillingness to compromise. In other words, buy kind of short term and, you've got to get it right, haven't you?
Yes.
And he actually does seem to be remarkably good at getting it right most of the time. Brilliant. And also the academy is sort of, you watch Arsenal against Leicester and you think it's difficult to be scored very late on. But when you look at Lewis-Skelly and you look at Nwaneri, you just think, I've got no worries at all about the future.
Yes.
No, the future looks in totally safe hands. So obviously, 2 Men and a Bike coming up this evening. What's the next project for you then, Hugh?
Well, I did a series last year with Channel 4 called The Couple Next Door, in which I play a very unpleasant peeping Tom, actually. It's a completely serious role. I've just finished series 2 of that, which strangely filmed in Belgium but set in Leeds. It's one of those peculiarities. So that'll be on. I think that's due later in the year. Fantastic. But at the moment, I'm just having a very nice time, kind of out walking the dog a lot and riding bicycles, of course, and watching television. Yeah.
And doing a lot of charity work. I've seen that as well, down with Wessex Cancer and things like that. So brilliant. Hugh, thank you very much indeed, mate.
All the best, mate. Thanks
for talking to me. Yeah, cheers.
Absolute pleasure.
Have a good day.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.